Wrestling is this. People are that. Zombies are crap. What sets us back? Blah, blah, blah. What do all these things have in common? It's simple. They're discussions in all things wrestling. Because whether you're a fan, whether you're a critic, whether you're toxic, and we are not, everybody has their own outlook, and it always sparks discussion. And that's what we're going to do tonight. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first ever ATWView Open Mic Night. I am your leader here of ceremonies. My name is Noah Foster, and I am just man. And with me tonight, of course, is part of the ATW crew, where tonight, there's no script, there's no censorship, there's no boundaries. With everything we watch, everything we see and hear and tweet, there's always something to talk about in all things wrestling. So tonight is a fun open forum where we will challenge each other to whatever we think or whatever topic we want to bring forward. And we'll see how far this goes and how deep and ranty it might unfold. With that being said, allow me to introduce you first off to tonight's crew. First off, he is the preacher. He is the meme king. He is the leader of the Miz and Morrison fan club. And he also is
I'm not. No, I'm not.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you are. And he also is a good-hearted. He also is a good-hearted man and a fan of mixed martial arts. Respect. Please welcome, of course, Casey Flynn. And with that, Casey, how are you tonight?
I'm doing pretty good, Pastor Noah.
All right. I work at church, but I don't have like suspenders or suit like that. But I digress. Anyway, also joining us tonight, he's all elite. Too sweet me on that, brother. He is, of course, one of my great friends in the AEW fleet. He is the owner of a PlayStation 5, which already irks me. He's a good-hearted man. He's got a Jordan game that he wishes was up there with the Young Bucks. Maybe one day will be. It's, of course, my brother, the king of ATW, King A-Train. King, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing? How you doing?
I'm always good, man. There's always stuff to talk about and be happy about in wrestling and stuff that I'm sure will bring us to think for reasons. Segue to this gentleman here. I call him the Inquirer, the Inquisitor. Sometimes he's Block News Eric. But I'm sure he's going to bring a lot to this forum, too. So please, as always, welcome representing at Neo Reality Entertainment. One of my good friends here, of course, Eric Brown. Eric, how are you this evening? You're muted. I don't hear you. There. Try now.
Good.
There we go. Good. Now, I'm sure there might be other people joining us in this forum too. I sent the link in the ATW crew description. We'll have to wait and see. But in case they don't show up, shout out to other members of ATW, including but not limited to Freshly Squeezed, Lex, The Clean, Megan Chiba, who I might add will be defending her ATW championship this coming, not this weekend, but the following weekend at AEW's Double or Nothing. And maybe some new faces might join us too, like Joseph Collin or Nick Sellers. Kate Stark, just saying. Shout out to everybody that is ATW, including my brothers in the sauce. And shout out, of course, to my bro, Pete Sauce Moss, who will be doing his pepper special some point this weekend at the risk of his own gut. You're a crazy man. But I digress. Hello, Noah and Jack. With that being said, I've already ranted enough. I've already introduced enough. I've already hacked enough. Let's go ahead and open up the discussions and get this thing started. So the following forum here is scheduled for no time limit and anything goes. With that being said, I will first lead the mic to King. King, how would you like to open up tonight's first ever ATW Open Mic Night? What is on your mind?
As you can see here, I have been preparing since last month, as you can tell.
Good on ya.
Let's talk about last month's budget cuts along with WWE and their deals. Let's talk about it. So, as I broke it down on the WWE deals, Peacock, we know, has a 5-year, $1 billion deal with Peacock.
Wait, we got a problem here.
What up?
Where's your glasses? You need your glasses for reading the paper.
Where is the cleaner glasses?
Oh, here we go. Here we go. We're gonna start like you're gonna start us like that. Really? We're not even
We're
doing
gonna
bad
start like
bunny
it's
stuff
no
tonight. There's a reason why I
We're gonna
have
start
Eric on
like
here
it's no
especially.
You can tell I am all elite, just in case y'all didn't know, as Noah said. Here we go. Peacock, what they're doing is 5 years, $1 billion. And with the Raw and SmackDown, both with the NBC Universal, both 5 years, $265 million for Raw, $205 million for not NBC Universal, for SmackDown with Fox, 5 years, $205 million. And I rounded it down to $1,470 million. And you mean to tell me what this releases? And I broke it down with their career accolades with other promotions and current WWE promotions. Samoa Joe, three-time, the third ever TNA Grand Slam champion, third ever TNA Triple Crown champion, a 2-time NXT champion, a 2-time United States champion, and CBS Sports' 2020 Commentator of the Year, and CBS Sports' 2018 Smack Talker of the Year, which those both deserve because we know how good Samoa Joe is in the ring and in commentary and on the mic. Bo Dallas, a former NXT champion and a Raw Tag Team champion. Where has Bo Dallas been? We'll talk about more about that. The Iconics, as y'all didn't know from the previous ATW episodes, Noah and Casey here are Iconic fans, and I'm not. Well, to get right down to it, they are both former women's tag team champions, which they won at WrestleMania, which basically, we're not even going to digest that.
It matters. They're the only legitimate tag team in WWE history. Don't get me started. Anyway, continue.
We'll continue that as soon as we go down that route. Wesley Blake, a former NXT Tag Team Champion with Buddy Murphy, may I add, who they had an opportunity to bring back alongside Murphy, but I don't know why they didn't go with that plan. Mojo Rawley, as I put in that note here, ha, ha, ha. Or Mojo Rawley, ha, ha, ha. Tucker Knight, I put on Tucker Knight. I put, because that's all I put because, I had to put something in there. Mickie James, a future Hall of Famer, a 6-time women's champion, a 3-time TNA Knockouts champion. Chelsea Green, a former Knockouts champion. And Kalisto, a 2-time United States champion and a Cruiserweight champion. Now, with that being said, you spend a total of $470 million combining your money with all these deals. But yet, a few names like Mickie James and Samoa Joe, you want to release. Why? Why is that? Because basically, those are two of your most talented people in both men's and women's division. But yet, you want to release them because, let's see, they add no value, or basically you have nothing for them, or basically you just don't want to push them and just basically, okay, we ain't going to use you no more. So we're just going to let go of you. So best of luck in your future endeavors. I don't get it. I really don't. And I'm hoping.
I like to state for the record that WWE reportedly released Samoa Joe because, he's injury prone. He's too old.
Injury prone, I get, but too old. Goldberg was a Universal Champion. And how old is he?
In his 50s.
Yeah, but he considers Samoa Joe to be too old. Okay. All right. See, this is why I want to pick at the old man's brain and just be like, you want to consider Samoa Joe to be old, but you want to have a 54-year-old Goldberg as your Universal Champion, not once, but twice. But that basically that started at Fastlane when you wanted to beat Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens at Fastlane. That's what started this whole, let's push Goldberg for Universal Champion because we're going to make him look like a superhero for all the kids out there.
Of course, the first time he won the Universal Championship, he shortly lost the Universal Championship against Brock Lesnar back at WrestleMania 33.
Yep.
And then you got to also remember, Kevin Owens and Jericho initially were promised, you're going to be one of the main events for the Universal Championship.
Instead, they were a match for the United States Championship, and that was one of the things that eventually led to Chris Jericho's inevitable departure.
Which basically that was the best decision that he's ever made, because ever since then, Chris Jericho has been one of the leading foundations of bringing lapsed wrestling fans into watching wrestling again in AEW as the first ever AEW World Champion, which was a great reign, may I add. Great reign that he had as AEW World Champion.
All right. So you basically want to bring forward about the releases and why were these decisions made in accordance to budget cuts. So with that being said, the floor is now open to whoever you want to call out. Talk to you with it.
All right. I'm going to call out, of course, he's our newsman. I'm going to give it to Eric. Start it off with me.
So it was reported that John Laurinaitis was making the call rounds. He was making the call say, sorry, kid, it's a budget thing. And of course, we all cut our obligatory CM Punk promo videos where he calls out John Laurinaitis for all the budget cut excuses. And you also forgot to mention that WWE has a 10-year deal with Saudi Arabia because blood.
Blood money.
That's a whole nother controversial topic in itself that could be ranted about all night. But continue.
Yes, however, there is one thing about this you forgot to mention, King.
What is that I forgot to mention? Lay it on me.
Chelsea Green, Mickey James, garbage bags.
Yeah. The
Yes, Lord.
The handling of the releases.
Even though that dude was a scapegoat, even though we all know who's behind this, and it's got to be Bruce Pritchard, because it ain't that guy who they fired. They just used him as a scapegoat.
Well, apparently that guy, though,
he still had a role in this.
He still has some shadowy type legacies though towards him. So again, hindsight is 2020. But Eric, your thoughts regarding the releases? I know some certainly surprised you. Others, they made sense. And if you could change anything about this, what would it be?
I had a YouTube channel going on Wrestleverse, and I talked about it for like over 30 minutes.
Go watch it, folks. Good watch.
Make sure y'all go check that out.
And I had said how this probably wasn't the end. Like there were more cuts coming along the way. I thought it was going to be the next day. And the one thing people all pointed out, that it was on the same day of last year, the last time we had Black Wednesday. Now it's Black Thursday. And also, we got also ring this. It was around the exact same time frame.
Mm-hmm. It's almost becoming an annual event at this point. The worst holiday of the year.
And then we get our obligatory Slammiversary Future Endeavor promos, which are awesome.
Yeah, it's almost like, in one way, you can look at this as horrible BS decision making, but then you also could look at it as a renewed vision to go forth on a new venture, whether you start a podcast or you end up going somewhere else. Strongest case in point, what happened last year at Slammiversary and what's being teased for this one, beyond the fact we have a term now called a forbidden door, really exploring the wrestling industry in a whole different way that hasn't been seen in decades.
Yes, and now we also gotta say this. Okay, so Chelsea Green has her own podcast, which got a cease and desist, and she had to change it again because the fan fiction writer went ahead and copyrighted everything and made it original and got millions of dollars.
The power of greed, I tell you.
So anyways, enough about why did fan fiction win the wars. But yeah, the releases, we knew it wasn't the end. There were more releases coming, but there is something I do want to bring up. How WWE is lying, and they could just tell them the truth. They were firing you because we don't have any use for you. You don't value to us. So let's go and get someone we value more than you, which means we're going to rehire Zelina Vega after we trashed her life.
Don't forget about the one person. I know Noah doesn't want to talk about this. I know Noah doesn't want to hear this name, but you're going to release talent for not only Zelina, but for Eva Marie.
Okay, now here's something I'm gonna say about Eva Marie. She was released. She came in at a bad time. We can agree to that. Like literally after everyone was fired. However, I will state is the devil's advocate here. She was hired before all this. She was in the internal roster back in December.
Right, because Vince wants to, of course, has a vision for somebody in the women of WWE that he wants to put forward, and he's tried it now with 2 people, and it's failed. He believes now he can pull it off with this one, who more so shows herself off as a diva versus what women are supposed to be looked at today as WWE wrestlers, pushing for this idea of the women's evolution.
Yes. And then Zelina Vega. Okay, I need to talk about this. Why would she, okay, fine. It's her decision. Fine. Respect that. Fine. But after the whole I support unionization, getting thrown out of the building before she could have a chance to say goodbye to her friends or at least talk to Vince, being fired for third-party rights, which is still BS.
Okay.
And she wants to go back.
Let me go ahead and pull. Let me go ahead and pull it to Alan here. With that being Casey, the floor is yours. Your thoughts regarding all of this.
All right, now my thoughts regarding all this, because number one, I think it outright sucks that actual woman that could wrestle their asses off like the Iconics. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Iconics tried. I mean, they were women's tag champs. I mean, at least they were believable but here's what gets me burning, human, right here.
All right.
Jasmine Duke. Jasmine.
More recently. Here we go.
Let's talk about that. Let's expand that to the NXT.
We're gonna expand this now to the present because yes, folks, recently there were NXT releases, some that made sense, but a couple like what? Anyway,
right.
Casey, go for it.
All right. Jasmine Duke. You release Jasmine Duke, somebody who could actually wrestle, and I mean, by releasing Jasmine Duke, you ruined the 4 horsewoman MMA versus the WWE 4 horsewoman feud that everybody wants to fucking see. And you release Jasmine Duke, names like Jasmine Duke, the Iconics, and all these other women for Eva fucking Marie. Are you fucking kidding me? Right now. Oh, man. That is a fucking disgrace. And one more name that I forgot to mention was Mickie James. Mickie James, Jasmine Duke, the Iconics can all run circles around Eva Marie. I mean, Eva Marie does not fit in this current crop of talent of female wrestlers that are around today, because the female talent woman roster of today within WWE has gotten a lot more competitive, and these women are here to compete and wrestle their asses off and try to be the best they can. They don't give a shit about your modeling career or what you've done in the past and all this. I mean, they don't give a shit about that. They give a damn about being the best and all this. And if Eva is now back in all this, I say if they put her as a manager or somebody, then great. I don't mind Eva as a manager, but where I draw the line is the wrestler, because no disrespect. I mean, if Eva wrestles and she approves herself, then great. I don't have a problem with it. But if Eva's still the same old Eva like from many years ago where she can't wrestle, then keep her ass out of the ring and as a manager.
Well, that would definitely avoid wardrobe malfunction too. Fair enough.
That's all I got to say about that.
So here's my rebuttal towards what you all have been saying. I get what you're saying, but you gotta remember the fluctuation of a roster that W has in general. You only can use so much, but you would think across all these various platforms, in and out of the ring, they would find constructive ways to use more people to push this product forward or give some sort of identity. I mean, it's like up, up, down, down. It's literally owned by WWE. It's the only reason why it still exists versus the whole third party thing. And of course, WWE has a huge agreement with YouTube versus Twitch, which is why we have Impact Wrestling, for example, still across Twitch and YouTube. That seems to be more so of a balance, especially for BTI. But as far as the releases go, the biggest one that definitely shocked me was the guy that renewed life into commentary to make me actually care about the matches, and that was Samoa Joe. If you were not going to put Samoa Joe back in the ring, who I still can't believe was never the WWE champion, at least during this role, he brought something legitimate to the Raw product that gave me interest in what was going on in the ring with the actual superstars, not just random pointless banter or robotic push button. This happened with no real emotion whatsoever.
No, you forgot the most important thing.
Go for it.
He did commentary in a thunderstorm.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Poncho Joe. Poncho
Joe. I'm surprised they did not come a meme. Bo Dallas, you would think they would do something with him constructed with the Fiend, a brother and brother thing, but no, you just released the guy and the Fiend's been MIA since because I guess Alexa Bliss absorbed him. The Iconics, I get it. You don't believe they were serious as wrestlers. Not their fault. 15 years, legitimate friendship, legitimately as a tag team, literally worked together, came out together, proposed the idea of going flawless with the NXT Women's title being co-champions that type way, back in the fatal four-way of NXT TakeOver San Antonio, and Peyton Royce, in my opinion, still sticks out to me more so out of the Iconics with potential as a top single star, and I still stand by that. The day the Iconics broke up is the day I knew that tag team wrestling, men and women, did not effing matter because it was the only legitimate women's tag team since the Bella Twins, there I said it, that literally WWE had. And to those that hate the Bella Twins, too bad. Anyway, Wesley Blake, they didn't really do anything with him. Blake, Murphy, Bliss, they had a run in NXT. They could have probably renewed Blake and Murphy as a tag team, but honestly, in the end, they tried this thing with Forgotten Sons. And the thing, he got released, but the one with the controversy behind him is still there because I guess politics be damned. Hell, I mean, Trump helped WWE for all we know. Mojo Rawley, no one cared about him. He did one thing with Gronk. He was the hype guy, and then he was the man in the mirror.
Everyone here thought he was fired last time from last year.
Yeah, exactly. Well, now it's a
That's how far he was gone, and I completely forgot he was still there. And no,
me too.
You got to remember, Billy Kay's firing was because of Kevin Dunn. He looked at her and was like, "I don't get it."
Right, because Kevin Dunn lacks a brain. Kevin Dunn doesn't know anything about potential talent. Kevin Dunn doesn't know anything about exploring something different because he's up Vince McMahon's ass. With that being said, what are they saying?
And he thinks it's Roy.
Yeah. Tucker, I mean, Heavy Machinery, the whole thing about bringing them up, I'm still confused about that to this day. Nothing came out of it. You would think they would have turned that into a feud, and they both went to separate brands. I think the writing was on the wall for him. Chelsea Green, incredible potential. Could probably revisit the hot mess angle. Maybe have something with her and Cross in this world of impromptu tag teams, if nothing else. But nope, that didn't happen. Then you tried her on SmackDown. She got injured. Then you just ride her off to the side. Go back to Impact Wrestling when you were a former Knockouts champion, or back in All In when you really were wrestling with what you truly loved. I hope to really see her and Matt Cardona Impact Wrestling. That's all I got to say about that. Mickie James, though, a veteran of WWE, she beat Trish Stratus back at WrestleMania 22 for the freaking Women's Championship and literally came back and faced Asuka in one of her best matches of her undefeated reign back in Toronto. And you literally did nothing with her. And this is the one with a vision to push women's wrestling forward in WWE to the point she wanted to advocate and lead an all-women's show. You're telling me you can lead women's tournaments, but you can't lead a women's show, even just for 45 minutes in place of main event that people don't even know fucking exists. That is beyond stupid in my opinion. And personally, I hope they can
or at least do Evolution 2, the concept that's very
right, but that was a one-up because it didn't make enough money. Not everything in wrestling needs to be about money. How about you push the idea that we care about motivating people? We care about pushing forward this industry. We care about giving opportunity. No, you have to be a living propaganda PR machine with more money out your ass than you know what to deal with. And you just keep letting it stack up and rot away till this festering product to the point Raw become unwatchable because now you gave us zombies instead of wrestling. You really think people want to see zombies in the middle of May during an effing lumberjack match? Miz, the Hollywood star. Okay, I get it. Damian Priest, not a Hollywood star. This isn't Hollywood. WWE, you're not going to be bigger than Disney. You're not going to be bigger than Lucasfilm. You're not going to be bigger than Marvel. Get your head out of your ass and realize if you want to move forward, it's wrestling that moves you all the way to begin with compelling stories, top-tier stars, original content, and non-repeated filler matches. Why don't you go back to the way things were before CM Punk exposed your business for what it is still to this day? And Kalisto, he can go back to Triple A. Yes. Nothing really came from him since being the Cruiserweight champion. The whole Lucha House Party thing, it fell to the side because Legado Fantasma, the new Lucha House Party, when it happened. So the bottom line is this. These releases, a lot of them are absolute nonsense considering who is still there because, again, Vince McMahon sees money. Vince McMahon sees star power. Vince McMahon sees somebody people will care about. Vince McMahon sees somebody he can utilize and control. And at the end of the day, that's all Vince wants. Because at the end of the day, nowadays, WWE is an audience not for kids, as people want to call it. It's an audience for one. Because unless Vince is satisfied, it's not going to show up on television. And it's not going to be in your WWE because your WWE and his WWE will always be different. And that's all I gotta say about that. So good luck to everybody.
And you know what?
I will see several of you on Summerversary or Ring of Honor.
And you know what? And one more thing we forgot to mention.
Go for it.
WWE, speaking of zombies, this is not fucking Halloween and it's not fucking October. You dumb sons of bitches.
Also,
here's the thing. Undertaker was a zombie, but here's the thing, and the Fiend, the demonic power. They could have made this work. They could have made it make sense by saying, "Oh, Alexa Bliss summoned them and whatnot because she has powers now."
She wants to play, and she's playing with more than just women because people are talking about. You notice how Charlotte Flair did those little nods during that match back at WrestleMania Backlash. Maybe Flair's trying to control, or maybe Bliss trying to control Flair with that Tilly doll, like Voodoo for all we know. But again, that's something else to come. But great opening topic, because the bottom line is this, the releases. Is this really going to become the annual thing to discuss? And is it more so embarrassment on this company or freedom and happiness for us as wrestling fans that look beyond the fact that wrestling exists outside the WWE? For me, it's
damn right,
because
guys.
we got AAA, we got NWA, we got AEW Dark Elevation, and we got, of course, Summerversary, where everything changes, and I'm sure we're going to get more of that again. So, great opening topic. All right, Casey, you're on board now. So we talked about releases, but what's on your mind tonight for open mic night? What's been bothering you or got you going in wrestling? Or what's your thoughts?
All right. What's been going on here is with the damn zombie shit that I seen at Backlash. I mean, we are not in fucking October. This is May, for God's sakes. And this reminds me of something. I mean, if you're gonna do some zombie shit, I mean, save it for the fucking horror films. I mean, this ain't Resident fucking Evil, Dawn of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead. I mean, come on now. I mean, what are we in? Undertaker turning Finlay or fucking Santino Marella into a fucking zombie? That's what reminds me of that from SmackDown versus Raw.
I literally was about to say that. I know what he's talking about. I played that game.
Yep, I can relate to that.
And you know what? I thought to myself, I seen it coming from a mile away back then that they were gonna pull this shit right in the future. Because let me tell you something, WWE. Like Noah said, you will never be bigger than Hollywood. You'll never be bigger than Walt Disney. You'll never be bigger than anybody, for fuck's sakes. So get your head out of your fucking ass and book your promotion in the right way and focus on your promotion and promotion only. Quit worrying about what others are doing because it's none of your fucking business and you can't control what other companies do. I mean, you can't control what AEW does. I mean, because if you were up other companies' ass 24/7, they'd tell you to mind your fucking business and quit being nosy. Number one. And WWE, one more thing, quit letting success get to your fucking head and quit pouring out money out of your ass. Number one, because it's not gonna work. You need your own, in order for these shows to be booked right, in order for these shows to be good, I mean, book storylines that make sense. I mean, don't put any storylines at talking segments to begin the show. When nobody has a fucking clue what the wrestlers are talking about. I mean, these wrestlers, you're turning them into robots. I mean, what the wrestlers
That's like a walrus right there.
themselves, for crying out loud, and let them speak from their minds. I mean, they're not fucking kindergartners. I mean, these are grown ass men and women. I mean, if you're not up their ass 24/7, they could do some of the best work of their career, and because they are capable of doing it. But no, sadly, it's got to be over. It's got to be over the script because it's such good shit.
I was waiting for that line to finish
No,
at that point.
no,
So,
it's not such good shit. It's such lousy shit.
straight up 2020.
Only thing that will be when it's such good shit is if you book the shows correctly.
We're gonna make WWE great again. Hire Bob Backlund. But I digress. All right.
And I rest my case.
Casey, you gotta remember that WWE president Nick Khan and whatnot.
No relation to Tony, by the way.
Oh God! Thank God he's not related to Tony.
I mean, like
But-
Nick Khan, like he envisions WWE and their intellectual properties that they totally didn't steal anything, but they seem to really think we can have characters, we can have content on the vein of Superman, Iron Man, DC, and Marvel, and I'm like, no.
Oh
John
God!
Cena's not
No.
Superman. I'm like, you can try and make that correlation, but John Cena's not here anymore. He's in Hollywood. The Rock's in Hollywood. The Undertaker's
Right.
retired. And here's the unfortunate fact that WWE will probably never acknowledge. And I've said this, and I saw a video that best explains it. Here's the quote. Do you see that there is nowhere else to go? And Alexander wept for when he had no more worlds to conquer.
Couldn't get a stronger quote than that. So to open the floor now to King or Eric to further pontificate, Casey's basically talking about WWE. Where did good creative booking go? So King or Eric, the floor is yours.
Good creative booking left in 2016, in my opinion, because who remembers that year when SmackDown Live was on a roll and SmackDown Live was the best show, and many people thought SmackDown got ruined in the draft in 2016 because of the fact that, okay, Raw had more stars. They got more people. SmackDown got basically outlasted in the draft when basically creatively SmackDown Live was the hottest thing in 2016. You had AJ Styles, you had Cena, you had Corbin, you had Becky Lynch, and probably names I'm forgetting. I'm probably leaving out with, my bad. Yes. The Miz, Dolph Ziggler. And there's probably many other names that probably pop up in our heads. But creatively, too, who still remembers Dolph Ziggler and The Miz from No Mercy for the Intercontinental Championship? Who still remembers that classic match? That was from SmackDown Live. SmackDown Live was the hottest thing going in 2016. And then you bring in ratings killer himself, 2017 after Backlash, which Noah, you touched on it before. You saw it live. So his little post celebration, Mr. Modern Day Failure Raja himself. He's not the Maharaja. He's the Failure Raja.
Okay. Look, here's the devil's advocate. I'm gonna say, Jinder Mahal could have had a much better reign if probably Ryan Ward was handling his writing, because he was thrown out right before WrestleMania and replaced with, "Oh, you didn't know."
Well done. That's right. We went back to the past. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to be devil advocate too for our queen, who is a huge advocate for Jinder Mahal. The 2017 WWE Championship run was a bust because it didn't feel real. Yes, they booked him to beat greats that you thought should have been the champion, including, and I can't believe I'm saying this name, Shinsuke Nakamura. But the fact is, the only reason he had that title was to try and push the WWE product further into India. Now, whether or not that actually worked long-term, knowing you got Great Khali there and they're trying to boot up NXT India, that's a whole different story. But during that time, it was a bust. And it literally was hurting the ratings and SmackDown in general. I would also think it lessened the identity of the WWE Championship and made the Universal Championship, which also I might add came out in 2016, become the biggest thing now in WWE. Well, now it's about the right guy, but that's a different story. And think about it.
Yeah,
do you really think?
You gotta remember.
Go ahead.
You gotta remember, You gotta remember the only reason Jinder Mahal's reign ended was because I'm Lesnar. I don't want to work with him.
Exactly. Brock Lesnar.
He wanted to work with Styles.
A Jinder Mahal champion versus champion match. You might as well have canceled Survivor Series Battle of the Brands.
Yep.
Which is why
they imagine if we would have got that match though. That match would have been a disaster waiting to happen.
I'm pretty sure the match would have been a disaster, but at least the Singh brothers would have been thrown around much like Vince probably wanted to do.
That probably would have been the funny part, because seeing the Singh brothers thrown around like rad dolls was probably the best part of Jinder Mahal's championship reign.
Yep.
I will say that. I will say that. But so yeah, SmackDown 2016. Again, I've always been Team Blue, but honestly, that was one of my favorite eras of SmackDown because of the names you mentioned and the stories lined up. The Intercontinental Championship was such a big deal pushed forward because The Miz had the title and Dolph Ziggler wanted it so badly, because Dolph Ziggler, he wanted to prove why he does this, why he loves this, why he was absolutely the best in his own mind.
But I remember there's one other reason SmackDown was a success.
What's that?
Talking Smack.
Yes.
Yes.
Talking Smack. The first thing in WWE that felt organic, unscripted, and real. Promos from the likes of the Usos, John Cena, and who could forget Miz and Daniel Bryan.
And then you got to remember Daniel Bryan being the general manager. He was I don't give a damn. I'll do anything. I'll say anything just to get fired so I can go somewhere else.
Right, because at that time he was in a slump because he couldn't do what he loved, and that was professional wrestling.
Yeah, and then he just did all these weird stuff just to piss management off, to be like, damn it, he doesn't want to quit because he's honorable, but he wants to piss us off so we can fire him and he'll be justified.
Exactly. And King, the fact you mentioned Corbin's name back in 2016 versus what he is now, that says a whole lot, because back then when Corbin was that guy, the lone wolf, it did seem like he was more of a bigger star and a legitimate thing. I do agree with you. Also, another thing we forgot to mention that was a big part of 2016 and 2017, the Wyatt family.
Yes.
And the saga of Orton
Yes.
and Bray Wyatt.
Which, by the way,
Yes.
I think Luke Harper got robbed of that because he should have been a main eventer and he should have been the one that added to the rest in peace to Brody Lee, John Huber himself. He should have been added to that WrestleMania 33 matchup with Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton for the WWE Championship because he proved himself that he could be a main event player and WWE Championship material alone. At least he should have got a push to become basically a main event player. And I think he absolutely got robbed of that spot, in my opinion.
And
But-
here's the thing. Here's the thing. If Ryan Ward was still running SmackDown, he probably would have. And I definitely think that if Bray Wyatt kept the title, we would have had Luke Harper versus Bray Wyatt at SummerSlam.
We saw how much Bray Wyatt was dejected when he heard the passing of Luke Harper. There was no doubt that was a plan that Bray Wyatt would have loved to have done with him and probably was discussed because Bray Wyatt, such a positive driving force for both Luke Harper and Eric Rowan. It was Luke Harper that really helped push Bray Wyatt forward. Just goes to show how deep that was. So again, SmackDown 2016. Maybe that was the last time it was really, truly good. But I will say SmackDown 2021, solely of nothing else because of Roman Reigns. Not bad. Not fully great, but not bad.
Not bad.
Eric, your thoughts. When did good creativity kind of let WWE heavily?
Well, let's see. After SmackDown regurgitated to the Road Dogg era and whatnot, because Vince hated Ryan Ward doing a good job like he hated Paul Heyman SmackDown, it went back to NXT. NXT was the premier A+ show. Then AEW came around, and then they were like, well, we got to get involved in this to destroy AEW or halt its growth. And then NXT, like it's sometimes always good, and then it gets a little bad, and then it gets really questionable, and then it's more like now in this limbo state of, can we regain our old identity at this point?
Well, they got the hardcore, so I guess as long as they got the hardcore fan base, they'll always be like, oh, we're fine.
But if you've seen the viewership, it's tanking more than
It's
ever.
plummeting.
I've heard that. As a non-biased fan, I don't let the idea of ratings and this versus that define me as a pro wrestling fan. But I do look at everything and I wonder, what do I enjoy and what do I miss from what I enjoy previously? Because honestly, I look at AEW more than WWE. And let me tell you something. Honestly, when it came to WWE before AEW existed, the only thing that truly mattered to me was NXT. So here's my hot take of the night. By the way, great topic, Casey. NXT. What is it? Is it still good as it used to be? Is it trying to get back to that? Or has it reached a point of no return? I feel like NXT, to me, it still is that show I want to tune in and watch forward. Not just NXT, but NXT UK. I do like the fact now they kind of talk a little bit more about both brands introspectively. But you look at this icon, you know, with the wings and the skull. Now, is that just driven by the fact you got Kieran Cross's chant with the Angel of Death? Or is NXT in a way trying to redefine itself, reinvigorate that former identity it had back in its hot heyday when it was commentated by Marinello, when you had a roster of the Undisputed Era, Ricochet, the War Raiders, the Street Profits, and Bobby Roode and Shinsuke Nakamura. But you look at the roster nowadays, and you got women taking on the likes of somebody in something called the Robert Stone brand that, I get you need comedy here and there, but at NXT, I just don't think that fits. You got these great talent in Finn Balor, former NXT champion, now on the brand. Now we revisit him and Cross, and it doesn't look like it just seems as appealing as originally you figured it would be, even with the prime target. So my thing is this. I look at NXT, I look at AEW, WWE, Stardom, Impact, I look at all that, etc. But I'm honestly going to focus on NXT. To me, NXT does not feel as hype as it used to be. And I just really wonder, in y'all's opinion, besides the fact at one point it was literally trying to be a revisit of a former war, what besides that, creative-wise or just talent exchange-wise or showcase-wise even, when you look at it now, what is it that with NXT, it just doesn't feel like how it used to be? Where did that hype and passion go? Because it just doesn't feel like it's there anymore.
Okay, I think I might have a theory. Is what ECW 2006 relaunch was trying to be. It was originally supposed to be an internet thing. Shane McMahon, Paul Heyman runs it. It's going to be on the internet. They can do their ECW stuff, be an in-house show, low budget and everything. That was the original plan. Then the networks got involved and they'll say, we'll put a ECW on our show and whatnot. Then the corporate involvement comes in. Then the McMahons come in more. Then the Dunns and the Bruce Pritchards and say, we can help with that.
The network.
And here's the thing
Yeah.
about that new logo. Here's the thing about it. Do you all remember Kenny For Your Thoughts? A user on Twitter named Kenny For Your Thoughts?
No.
Yes.
Okay. He says that I saw his post a while back. He said he likes the logo, but he says it feels like it's something from 10 years ago.
10 years ago?
And guess what? When I looked at the NXT logo, I was like, I keep looking at it. I'm trying to remember what it is, but it just seems so familiar. So I went online, looked around, and then I saw it. Then I finally got why the logo was so familiar.
Why is that?
It's the exact same logo as SmackDown's 10th anniversary. The X.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. The X. If you look at the X closely and you look at SmackDown's 10th anniversary logo, yeah, I see where Eric makes a point on that. Yeah, I have noticed that.
Do you think they're trying to turn NXT potentially into SmackDown or something off it?
No, more like they're trying to think of, look how edgy we still are.
Well, NXT wants to try and be that standout like it was, okay? It's not sports entertainment. It's like pro wrestling, but it's got an underground grungy attitude feeling to it. And with the whole virtual Thunderdome experience around the side and then the fencing in between two plexiglasses, clearly, I just kind of don't get that underground type feeling.
I just kept thinking. What?
I really like. I was about to say NXT, in my opinion, it doesn't have that spark like I once had for NXT. It's still, it's a hit and miss, but I feel like from 2017 throughout 2016 throughout 2019,
14,
at least the
that's when it
first
started
half
for the network.
Yeah,
Right.
that's when it was God tier. God tier. You would basically tune in every Wednesday for that 1 hour show on the WWE network just to see what happened, because you had the likes of Ricochet, the Undisputed Era. You had EC3. You had Lars Sullivan. You had Sanity. You had the Forgotten Sons. You had, what did you have? Yes,
Sami
I would
Zayn,
not.
Samoa
Yep.
Joe.
The list
You
goes on
also
and
have
on.
the Velveteen
Bobby
Dream, and the names go on. And you basically had a stacked roster throughout the years, and we have all seen what happened to those names that get called up to the main roster from NXT. It is basically goes like this, and I say this every time I talk about NXT, whether it be you guys or whether it be friends that watch the product of all promotions. What Triple H creates, Vince kills on the main roster. If Vince sees that you're successful in NXT, there goes your main roster push. Goodbye. You will either get a tag team push or you'll get a mid-card push at best. You'll be lucky to even get a main event push. Look what happened to EC3 when he left WWE the first time to go to Impact. It became a 2-3-time Impact World Champion, and then Triple H decided to take it back. Oh yeah, we're going to make EC3 continue his success. And then Vince is like, oh, we're going to bring up EC3. Oh, we're going to bury him, because want to know why? He was not a world champion. Yeah, we had him, and then all of a sudden, yeah, we're going to bury him.
And he was in the ring with Dean Ambrose and didn't get booed.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing. Remember when it finally reached a point for EC3? He was doing his entrance, but he looked like he didn't care anymore.
He legitimately showed that he was unhappy. And to go back to a point you were saying earlier about Ty Conti, who was also formerly involved in NXT, the key there is she finds being outside of NXT and being somewhere else, in this case AEW, she's happy. Morale goes a long way in bringing that passion, not just to your fans, but to your employees. Positive morale matters. And that's been one of the bigger things also thought about in WWE. What is that morale in the locker room? Is it truly all positive? So there you go.
I'm like, in 2019, remember all that stuff going on. WWE looking like it was in total anarchy. Like Sasha Banks walks out and is on isolation leave. Bailey was frustrated. A lot of the talent was frustrated. Bobby Lashley was rumored to try and get out of his contract because they broke their promises to him.
And he still has yet to face Brock Lesnar, but at least he is champion after 16 years, and so far he is retaining it. But he has no fresh competition, and I knew it. I knew they were going to go with freaking Kofi Kingston because Kofi Kingston, he's that workhorse guy who could put on a good match. But nobody wants to see him again as WWE champion. He got squashed by Brock in 8 seconds.
We've been there. We've done that. They had their Kofi Mania. And as much as I like Kofi as a workhorse, we do not need to see Kofi Mania 2. That magic has lived in full sail.
Kofi Kingston went on an interview about that Kofi Mania 2 stuff. He even admitted it's never going to be the same again.
It won't. It will never have as much height, momentum, or feel as big as a moment as it did back at WrestleMania 35. Yeah, honestly.
But here's the thing you also need to remember. That was supposed to be Mustafa Ali's moment.
Yep, I was just about to say that. That was supposed to be Ali's moment.
Didn't happen. Didn't
happen because of injuries.
Again, injuries can be the detriment of you. But it's one of those things where it's like, okay, you get injured. Well, how can we still, rebound and use it? The only one that's so far been able to bounce back, it seems, from legitimate injuries to redefine themselves is Corey Graves. And he doesn't wrestle. He's just a commentator. Anyway, Casey, you've been quiet. Your thoughts on NXT? Like, I know Dakota Kai is always going to be like the statue in your fave, but NXT now versus then, do you still have that same like true spark and passion for the product?
No. I mean, NXT doesn't even have that spark like it once did. And because when you look at it, you look at the NXT with the names back then from Asuka, Bayley, Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch.
Even Charlotte was
organic.
Lacey
she
Evans,
wasn't like the face.
Charlotte wasn't as bad in NXT like she is now with the main roster when you get down to it. Because when you get down to it, though, a classic match to this very day, Iron Woman match between Sasha Banks and Bayley from NXT TakeOver, because those two ladies stole the show that time, and it was a classic ever since, and that's what redefined women's wrestling altogether, and that's what put it on the map. And when those names left, along came certain names like Io Shirai, Toni Storm, Shayna Baszler, Rhea Ripley, and Shayna Baszler now. Don't get me wrong about her. She used to be, she reminded me of Brock Lesnar, how she ran through the NXT women's division and all that. And because she ran through names like two of her fellow Brie members in Mia Yim and Dakota Kai. Dakota Kai, even though when I first seen her wrestle, I was like, wow. I instantly became a fan of hers right away because I was so impressed by her work ethic in how she put on classics. Like I was genuinely impressed, and I proudly own a Dakota Kai shirt ever since
Casey expressing
this
his friend.
day, and I always support and I always wear the Dakota Kai shirt whenever she wrestles, just to bring her good luck and all this. But Dakota Kai now, when you look at her, here's a woman that had that happy-go-lucky Kiwi girl gimmick Kiwi woman gimmick when she came in, like all smiling and real happy and all that.
Yep.
And a girly entrance team, no disrespect, Cap. But that heel turn on Tegan Knox at War Games, ooh, that reminded me that like how vicious she can be, and that was good that they turned her heel, because you can't be Mrs. Nice Lady in this wrestling business, because if you want to make it, you got to show a sadistic side to yourself. I mean, you can't be all nice and all that. I mean, you got to do it to hurt people. I mean, you got to be a prick in this business.
But Bailey
As far as
did that, and it saved her career.
As far as your character. And
yeah,
don't get me wrong about DK, but her on a feud in that feud with Tegan Knox was like one of the hottest feuds of NXT for the modern time. And it's a shame that they couldn't prolong this, because it would have been like the female Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. And DK, I mean, if this whole pandemic didn't happen, I believe you would have seen the feud prolonged, because after the steel cage match, as soon as it wasn't brought up again, after DK won the steel cage match, like, what? I mean, I was glad she won, but either way, I was like, it didn't make sense. It cut the feud this short, because back in the NXT days of old with Asuka, Bailey, and all them existing, that wouldn't have happened. Because what gets me is, ever since NXT's move to the USA Network on that day, the spark of it died. The magic of it like died. It's like the whole crowd don't even give a shit about the show today, because they're like just there wrestling, like, oh, just them. Let's watch another great night of wrestling. I mean, no cheers, no reactions, or nothing. It's like a dry crowd. I mean, USA genuinely was like one of those ghosts from Harry Potter that sucked the life out of NXT. And NXT is, don't get me wrong, I mean, I watch it just to support Dakota Kai only and all this, but Karrion Kross, many others, and Karrion Kross, I mean, what? When I look at NXT now, I'm like, what the fuck has happened to this brand? Because I grew up, I mean, I'm glad that I seen Bailey and Sasha Banks put on an instant classic match. I was a senior in high school when that happened at the time. And I mean, and Rhea Ripley. Don't even get me started with her. I mean, I like Rhea Ripley and all this, but here's a woman that got her start in the Mae Young Classic, NXT UK, and was like an NXT UK Women's Champ. I mean, ultra badass vibe about her. I mean, a woman that took no prisoners, very aggressive, did not give a shit who she hurt and didn't give a damn who she pissed off her entire day. I mean, the Rhea Ripley that you see in NXT, that was the real Rhea Ripley because it showed she could be nice and all this, but she could be vicious when she wants to. But when you look at Rhea Ripley on Raw, Monday Night Raw, that Rhea Ripley badass vibe is gone. Is straight out the door. They reduced her to like everybody else. I mean, Rhea Ripley is not, don't get me wrong. I mean, Rhea is more her. I mean, the system that's well fit for her is NXT. I mean, Rhea. I mean, in order for Rhea to be herself like she once was in NXT, I mean, you got to book her. You got to book her to speak for herself. I mean, you can't overscript her promos because she doesn't do great by a script. I mean, let her speak without a script, but speaks from her mind of how she did in NXT. I mean, I'd like to see the NXT Rhea be brought out on Raw because when you do that, if you do that, that's where Rhea Ripley thrives. I mean, she's not thriving on Raw, to be honest with you. And oh man, and you got the cue cards right in front of her. What the fuck is she doing reading cue cards? Have you seen Macho Man Randy Savage, Bret Hart, The Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Rock, and Austin, and John Cena read cue cards? Like,
I mean, The Rock did once read his
no,
fist. Just saying.
no.
Yeah, well, let's not talk about that.
Yeah. And I mean, Rhea, I mean, she has the ability to succeed on the main roster, but she won't even make it on the main roster if you keep booking her like this. And that's in Aleister Black. Aleister Black.
Oh boy.
He had that badass vibe about him in NXT. But when he first came to Raw, the main roster, they fucked up the first time he arrived. And oh man, you took away the best part of his identity. How he rose up the thing like a damn zombie. And he had that badass music that was over as hell. And turn him into a fucking pirate and something else. But anyway, thank God Aleister looks like he's back to that old NXT Aleister a little bit after I seen tonight. And that's all I got to say about that.
So my thoughts is this. I think about everything y'all are saying. I think about the roster. I still feel like NXT uses their roster the best, especially when I look at the women's picture. I mean, Rhea Ripley
I agree.
let Raquel Gonzalez go over on her so she can lead NXT going forward. So I think Raquel Gonzalez and the women's division still is the strongest foundation, and they know what to do the most with in NXT. They're trying to do something different with the North American title picture and finally give Swerve his own identity. They're trying to bring back some leveled commentary for the men and the women with some wrestling insight, but I just don't feel that same energy as much, especially without Maranello, which I feel has always been a detriment to me as an NXT fan. And then I look at the NXT Championship picture, and I think about how many people used to be involved in it, go after it, what they're doing with it now, and who's involved in it. And we're circling back Finn Balor and Karrion Kross. You're trying to make this feel like as possibly as big of a deal as possible. But here's my thing about that. When it came to NXT before the network, when it came to these big time matches, you know, these blow-offs like the steel cage, the 2 out of 3 falls, the title, the fight pit, for example, I would think these things would be saved for a takeover. In my opinion, I just don't feel takeovers, they still exceed, in my opinion, regular pay-per-views overall, but even takeovers don't feel as big as a high for me as they used to, because a lot of type of matches you think you would see on a takeover that seems special and a big deal, it's just random on a week general episode of NXT. And it's one of those things when you deal with free television, you gotta have a balance of high end versus okay average. And I feel a lot of times NXT feels a lot of the same. So when they do those big matches on TV, they don't feel as big for me.
Okay, three things. One, Noah. Okay, remember the most infamous thing they did, in my eyes, opinion, the most sinful thing NXT ever did was not have Halloween Havoc be a takeover event.
Agreed.
October 31st.
Agreed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Agreed. Why have they not done that?
That was literally the perfect storm. But no, we have to kill AEW.
Right, and that's a whole different thing. What's your other two things?
Okay, second of all, okay. We have a special guest. He's back.
It's Master Chief. Nice.
The reason why I brought him here is mostly for my protection. Now, I got a question I need to ask you. Netflix is a big company, right? Because we were talking about the zombies earlier.
Correct.
Okay, Netflix has, let's see, what's their revenue stream? Over $25 billion.
Whoa.
Okay, so remember Army of the Dead is a Netflix movie, right? By Zack Snyder, who's off the heels of the great Zack Snyder Justice League.
Right.
And they did a horrible partnership with them.
What?
The zombie at WrestleMania Backlash, that was the partnership, the Army of the Dead movie.
Yeah, of course, everyone blamed Batista for that. Don't blame me. I didn't book this shit.
Well,
talk to Vince.
Should you be tweeting Vince?
What'd you find out?
And you will be pissed a little bit. How much money do you think WWE made from that?
Well, let's see. It's WWE, the biggest PR machine on the planet. I imagine they made a lot. I'm going to say 15 billion.
Somewhere around $1 million.
How much?
A little over $1 million. That was the price for the zombies.
What a drop in the bucket!
Wow.
Wow. All right.
Events.
Wow.
And Damian Priest and The Miz didn't get a penny of that. So there you go. Back to what we said before. Where did good creative go? You made $1 million of a zombie thing at the expense of what we wanted to see in a wrestling match, pushing Damian Priest forward. As King alluded to, what Triple H makes, Vince McMahon kills. But I digress.
Yep.
But yeah, as far as NXT goes, my thing is the balance in the hype and identity of the takeover and the shows. It almost feels the same. And that's one of my biggest things about that too. I mean, Fight Pit alone, I feel like alone should be a takeover thing. And they only did 2 of those.
We know the most infamous one of NXT when they did a TV match that really never should have been a TV match and should have been saved for takeover.
Go ahead and name it.
The Fatal 4-Way 60-minute match.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh, yep.
You do not
Tuesday.
You do not do an Iron Man match with commercials. Period.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, okay, I actually have my own open forum.
Go for it.
And whatnot.
Go for it.
Okay, I gotta ask. Why are people trying to find complaints about AEW?
I would like to answer this one because this one has been weighing heavy for a long time.
Unless Eric has any other thing to say regarding his opening question, King, you have the floor.
Okay.
Eric, you got anything?
Yeah. Let me read this Twitter post. Let me read this Twitter post for you.
Go ahead.
A bunch of people in AEW have been getting nicknames like Powerhouse Hobbs, All Ego Ethan Page. I just think it's annoying from contrary forces them in, and I hope they don't start calling Anthony the Governor. Check the AEW roster online. So many dudes have whack nicknames. LOL. Because nicknames are just a new thing AEW created.
And yet people forget how many nicknames were involved in the WWE, which most people believe is the only thing on the planet. King, you have the floor.
Why do I feel like tribalists like WWE continue to basically find the littlest things to the biggest things about AEW? It's because they are forced to be themselves. They force themselves to live in that WWE bubble. They don't want to go out and watch other promotions like Ring of Honor, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact, MLW, and others. They are basically forcing themselves to live in this miserable bubble that they continue to watch WWE, and they continue to complain about it because, oh, it's a cool thing to do. I used to be on that train, but 3 weeks ago I hopped off that train. Why? Because there's another promotion that's out there that premieres on Mondays at 6 o'clock Central, and that's AEW Dark Elevation, where that's basically my Monday night wrestling cure for the night in general. Why? Because they produce good matches over there. They give you storytelling that leads into Dynamite or Dark or whatever, they appear on next. They always want to criticize AEW because they don't want to see AEW grow. They want to see a demise like what happened in ECW and WCW and TNA in general. They want to see a demise like that because they basically want to see WWE succeed as being the only wrestling promotion out there that's basically, I watch WWE and I love it. And anytime you get in an argument with them, they just will basically continue to defend the product like it's God's green earth. And
we can all agree. AEW is not the perfect company. They have mistakes. They have legitimate complaints you can make.
There is no such thing as a perfect company. But the point that we're going to sum up, I'm going to sum up here before I let the rest of you talk. There's more to wrestling than the WWE. Simple as that. King, continue.
Exactly. Like y'all all touched on it. There's other promotions to watch. Get yourself out of the WWE bubble. It's okay to live out of the WWE bubble. There's other promotions that you can watch out there besides WWE. You don't got to force yourself to watch WWE every Monday. I mean, I use the picture that I still have on this day. Really awful wrestling. Because when it comes down to it, Vince McMahon is only an audience of one, and it's only because it's in due to himself and Bruce Pritchard and people power. I'm John Laurinaitis. It's John Laurinaitis. And I am the executive vice president of talent relations and the general manager for both Raw and SmackDown. And you, Mr. Yes Man himself, and I have to bring this out. Now, not only Laurinaitis, but I have to bring this dude out as well. What? Things can be done, everybody. And I am
just gonna get blasted so damn hard.
But anyway, I digress because those are the only. By the way, I got to add this in it before I continue, Mr. I love you. But anyways, I digress because you got three of the biggest yes men who basically would not give Vince McMahon a challenge because they will agree to anything that he does. And that's what, and you got all these tribalists defending all three of them. Basically, whatever product, because whatever Vince puts out, they're going to love it. That's the reason why I continue to stop supporting WWE, especially Raw. SmackDown has become watchable because of one man carrying, and a few others, but mostly one man carrying SmackDown behind his back. We all know who that man is. That's the tribal chief himself. Roman has been putting SmackDown on his back, and it's basically watchable because anything that Roman touches, it turns to gold. Look at Cesaro. Look at Daniel Bryan. Look at Jey Uso of the matches they put on with Roman. It's basically the storytelling and the matches have been gold themselves. NXT and NXT UK, they're basically like SmackDown, NXT, and NXT UK are like the life support with WWE. They're the ones that keep WWE on life support. Raw is just basically
flatlining.
Flatline. And here's the thing. I keep responding to this. Okay, remember those opinions people say like this? What is an opinion that will get you this reaction, which shows a whole bunch of people pointing guns at John Wick or swords from Tangled?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to know what I said? And this would be the most horrifying opinion fact I ever said.
Go for it.
you can perfectly live in a world where AEW and WWE coexist.
Simple as that. Why do you think I live by the simple proverb, just enjoy life and enjoy wrestling? Why do you think I simply have this monitor scrolling through all sorts of things wrestling that I watch? And this isn't everything. I have watched more wrestling promotions and more wrestling in my 29 years of existence in life on this planet than I could ever go back and track. And it wasn't always just the WWF or the WWE. In fact, it was back in 2001 where I discovered my other love. First off, in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and expanded from there into TNA and Ring of Honor. And the list goes on and on and on, from Pro Wrestling Eve to Rev Pro to freaking Pro Wrestling Noah, you name it, to Stardom, the #1 thing in women's professional wrestling on the planet. The bottom line is this. There is more to life than the WWE if you really live and breathe as a pro wrestling fan, where they literally sometimes belittle the word professional wrestling because we're not professional wrestling, we're sports entertainment. But the bottom line right now in 2021, in what feels like truly the most open, optimistic era of professional wrestling, you can explore. Just be happy. You don't need to voice yourself on Twitter just to put your point across or to think that you actually know more than anyone else around you. And that's where tribalism begins, not just in WWE, as you alluded to, but anywhere. And it's heavily involved in the wrestling community that's known as the IWC. There's a reason why people literally have lost their minds and have had mental fatigue because of social media, because of Twitter, because when they reveal themselves and their identity to wrestling, they're immediately ridiculed for it with the first person that doesn't agree with them. All you gotta do is live outside your damn smartphone and freaking just enjoy life and enjoy wrestling. It's not complicated. It's simple.
Exactly.
And I challenge everybody who tries to watch this and hears this and haven't done this, but realize they should do this, to give it a try. If it's nothing else but 5 minutes of YouTube for something not WWE related. Casey, you
exactly.
All right. When I look at this whole thing here, I mean, you get down to it, arguing about wrestling is absolutely ridiculous. Number one, because when you get down to it, there's a lot more other promotions, like my fellow colleagues say, out there than just WWE. When you get down to it, because when you get down to it, when I first came on this earth in 1996, I had no idea what wrestling was. I was born in the Monday Night Wars with WCW and Raw is War. And you get down to it, though, there's a lot more other promotions out there besides just WWE. I mean, try watching some New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact, Stardom, Ring of Honor, MLW, AEW, and some promotions like that. Because when you get down to it, I mean, there's more options out there besides WWE, because no company is perfect overall. I mean, the one thing I gotta say is please get your head out of your ass, out of the WWE bubble, and quit living up Vince's ass, because Vince McMahon does not give a damn about you. He's going to do what he wants, and he's going to do because it's his damn company. And I mean, those that continue to bitch and moan, like, oh God. And every time we say something that bashes WWE, then you got to come out after us. get the fuck out of here. I mean, we don't have to like the same thing that you like, and we don't have to agree with something that you like, because everybody's going to be entitled to their own opinions. Because when you get down to it, I don't give a shit what wrestling promotion I watch. I do it just to enjoy wrestling and all that. Because I'm going to waste my whole life, arguing with fucking idiots over wrestling. Because wrestling is just wrestling. There's no war. It's just the same product, but they do it differently. You just enjoy wrestling for once. Go explore outside the WWE bubble, and you might like some of these promotions that are out there. Number one, and that's all I gotta say about that. Because when you get down to it, Vince, he used to be a genius in his day. He's not. I mean, he still is, but he's not like he once was in his day.
He's out of touch.
I mean, he's out of touch with the current era, because when we get down to it, I mean, but the fans coming back, the folks coming back July 16th, mark my words on this, Raw is still going to be the same old Raw. It's still going to suck ass with people that are there and people that are not there. SmackDown is still going to be pretty decent, because when you get down to it, we are your verdict, and we tell you whether something sucks ass. But I'm sure you don't give a damn and all that, and that's fine with us, because it's your job to entertain us and put on a good product so you can keep us watching it, so we don't have to leave your promotion to watch other promotions and all that. I mean, I just watch all promotions to enjoy wrestling. There's no war. Stop with the damn wars. They don't exist. Thank you. I rest.
Bottom line, like you said, there is no war. Ratings are irrelevant. We fans do not work for the business. We just observe and enjoy the business. But it seems more so fans like to judge the business, to the point they believe that what they say is gospel and what you say goes against them is blasphemy. If that is the identity that you believe living in professional wrestling is for yourself and should be for all around you, you are living a very shallow life, and you are very closed-minded. Be open-minded, be respectful,
Right.
And just want the business to move forward. Collaboration is not a bad thing. Competition is not a bad thing. Variation is a glorious thing, because it shows you how deep, how far this business expands and how far you can go in enjoying it or exploring it. So just think about more besides your own freaking ego and just try and enjoy wrestling. Eric, you have something to say.
Here's the thing. Ever since when AEW started their expansion with the shared universe distortion, with Impact, New Japan, NWA, which are awesome so far, but we need more content with that.
I agree.
As much as Vince will probably never admit it, because he'll drop dead before he ever admits it, he clearly was thinking, they're collaborating. Get MLW on the phone.
Well, they already got Evolve, so yeah.
Yeah,
Evolve, by the way.
Yeah, they remember there was a report a while back that WWE was looking to see, hey, do you want to do a working relationship with us in MLW? We can offer good business.
I wonder if they were talking about
let's
Yeah,
be real.
right.
As much as we can be paranoid that they'll just be absorbed by the WWE machine because that's what they like to do,
right?
I would also love to see Jacob Fatu versus the Roman Reigns.
I feel that's a match that's going to happen someday. And the thing about wrestling right now, you can think about what could happen someday. You don't have to hate today, when the one thing you may have always watched might not be, the thing that you enjoy nowadays. Again, you look at everything happening today and everything continuing to grow today. Not just in wrestling, but in combat sports, MMA, with the crossforms and all that type of stuff. Heck, We were watching Invicta tonight while Smackdown was off the air. Enough said. Bottom line is this.
Right.
Just enjoy life and enjoy wrestling. Don't be toxic. Don't claim you're superior. And don't claim anyone else is inferior. Because we are all equal at the end of the day. And we are all just fans. We're not friggin' billionaires, businessmen, politicians, and 98% of us aren't even wrestlers. And shout out to two friends I know becoming wrestlers.
Also, there's one more thing I forgot to mention, the tribeless attitude. I was like, wait, why should we have to feel bad for the multi-billion-dollar conglomerates?
The thing is, people want to really feel, they want others to feel what they feel because they want to be, in Roman Reigns' words, acknowledged. And that drive for acknowledgement develops a toxic mindset to the point it does work. They do get acknowledgement, and whether it's good or bad, they're having to get it. So those that feed into that type of stuff, they're just furthering that idea. And that's the reason why toxicity exists. Again, there's a reason why I'm only on Twitter, literally saying, hello, just enjoy life, enjoy wrestling, and giving my thoughts as a commentator, though, write about what I see and enjoy in wrestling, whether it's WWE Impact, NWA, ATW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, or some other random thing like Invicta. There's more to life than just bashing wrestling, period. That's all I gotta say about that. Well, I think that's a good way to wrap up this first ever open mic night session. We've gone for about an hour now, gentlemen. I think this was a great fun time. So with that being said, folks, let us know your thoughts. Come after us if you dare, because we're simply going to reiterate what we live for. ATW, just enjoy life and enjoy wrestling. Whether you agree, disagree, find us on Twitter, talk to us. We'll have a nice mutual conversation with you. We could share opinions, not debate and trash each other. Not even the Troll Slayer virtually does that. It's just what he feels. It's okay to say what you feel, but do it in a positive, constructive manner so we can all make this community better and more welcoming. So with that being said, tune in next week for the ATW View where, oh, good Lord, we got to figure this thing out. We will be previewing, predicting, and discussing in full with Master Chief Cortana. Double or nothing. There's a lot of other things coming up in wrestling too that I'm sure we'll probably go through at some point, including but not limited to Against All Odds, Triple Mania, Hell in the Cell. The NWA has a pay-per-view coming up. The revitalization of MLW trying to bring back Lucha Underground. There's so much going on in wrestling. And of course, AEW, Dark Elevation, AEW, they continue going forward too. Opening this Forbidden Door with NJPW Strong showcases coming up, including but not limited to Rock Romero and Royce Isaacs. And of course, Thunder Rosa continues to be one of the biggest advocates on this planet, freelancing for women's professional wrestling. Gotta freaking love it. So on behalf of the ATW family, I'd like to thank you all for tuning in once again to the ATW View. This has been the first ever open mic night. And trust me, I'm sure there'll be many more to come too. And maybe we'll get some of their faces on here too. For Casey Flynn, for Eric Brown, for the King, Anthony, for Cortana, and Master Chief, my name is Noah Foster. I'm a simple man, and we are all just fans of all things wrestling. Thanks for tuning in, folks, and have a good night.